Hey everybody, welcome back to the workbench. Hey, I've got a pretty busted up old Hoover Runabout, which is essentially just one of the last of the machines based on the old Hoover Elite platform, which was a, ooh, that just dropped, woo, which was the old Hoover Elites. They came out in the, I think late 80s. And they made them all the way up through the early aughts. And they were Hoover's really inexpensive machines at the time. I can't tell you how many of these I've thrown in the dumpster, like a lot, because a lot of times they're just not financially worth fixing because they were a budget machine. It was kind of Hoover's first foray under Maytag into the idea of like a disposable vacuum. There were parts available for them though, so if you wanted to fix it, you could. That being said, not a whole lot of parts are available now for these since TTI took over the Hoover nameplate. And on this unit, I don't actually know what's going wrong. All I know, they brought it in and they said, don't spend more than $100. This is a direct air unit. They're really dusty. Ew, even look at that. Gross. See that? It's nasty. This thing's been through the ringer. So I am not going to run this on the bench because I don't want it to blow dust all over my bench and tools and cameras. So we're going to run it here on the floor real quick and see how it sounds. Well, this thing is filthy dirty, but that actually does not sound too bad. Nothing, doesn't sound like the fan is out of balance. It doesn't sound like it has a broken impeller or no brush roll rattle that I could hear. So we might actually be in pretty good shape with this guy to go ahead and give him a service. He needs a service. This thing's filthy, but that may be its only issue. So let's go ahead and drop this down. All right, so the first thing that I do on these guys is I like to separate the body from the base. This is kind of two different assemblies and they're screwed together. So just to make it easier to work on and clean, I like to separate those. And on this unit here, the screw is right here. Yeah, you can see that. So we're going to go ahead and take that out. So for some reason, I guess I get nostalgia. These things, because they are no longer in production and they're rare to find in good condition, these are actually pretty highly sought after, I guess, by vacuum collectors. I did not know that. Like I said, I've thrown probably an entire landfill's worth of these in the trash in the past. So, but in any case, getting a little bit more in demand. But I'm going to go ahead and now that we've got that screw taken out of there, what I'm going to do is I don't want to lose this nut. This nut is on the back side that holds the screw on, so you want to keep those together. And then what we're going to do is, usually these are kind of caked together with a bunch of dirt and stuff. There's like a panel gap down here where you can kind of start to flex them apart a little bit. You don't want to go too hard on this old plastic. It's not going to take a lot of abuse, but there we go. All right. So now we can take this piece. We will be washing this because we're going to service this machine. So I'm going to set this to the side until we do. All right. So this is the motor unit. These are really simple machines. Let's go ahead and there's a screw here and a screw here. On some of the older ones, these are clips. This has definitely seen a lot of moisture. You can see that down in here. And despite the fact that there's a ton of stuff wrapped around the brush roll, the belt isn't still in place. Now the belt is toasty. Let's look at that. So this just pulls out, set that to the side. So this is an example of letting your belt go too long. So you see here that it's really stretched out if you compare it to a new one. I'll save this so we can compare it, but you can see these areas too where it started to glaze over and crack. These are areas where they've caught like the edge of an area rug or a shoe or a sock or something like that and stopped the belt. It didn't break it, but it's getting pretty, you can see there where it wants to kind of collapse on itself. It's getting pretty close to breaking there. We may not be able to fix this one, guys. Let's go a little further into this. So on this unit here, the hood is just held on, now that we've taken the bottom plate off, just held on by clips. So there's a clip here, and the other side came off automatically. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. Oh my. There's an entire animal right there. Tell you what, nice. All right, so this is the motor retainer. It's the small motor retainer. There's a large one right here and there's a small one right here. It does not matter the generation that the vacuum came from. The motor retainers were one of the weak points. They loved to break right here where the screw is supposed to go through and hold it onto the housing, but this one's broken. You know, oh, it's actually broken on both sides, so it's a double whammy. So with that, you can see, you can actually see from the other side that, let's see. Yeah, you can see that it's caused the belt to rub against the housing, and there's been some warping. It's hard to see, but this plastic is actually like bent up, so that's not supposed to be like that. In fact, I think just some plastic is completely broken off there because the motor has been lifting up like this, causing the belt and the motor shaft to ride into the housing here. The other thing that that this was causing, you know how at the very beginning when the handle fell down on me, it's because this was lifting up, so the handle would no longer catch, the lock would no longer catch. Another thing on these guys, which are kind of problematic, would be the this. So hair always built up on these, always, always, always. It was really important to regularly service these machines because this is your motor cooling intake. So this is where this is a, what we call like a direct air system. So it basically pulls all the dirt through an impeller fan, which is right here, and shoots it up into the bag. But what that means is that the impeller does not cool the motor. So what the motor needs to do is it needs to pull air in through this intake, and then it blows it out this end. So that is the main cooling function of this vacuum, and you can see how much dirt, because of the way this is designed, how much dirt gets caught on that impeller, or gets caught on this grate, and that can cause the motor to run hot and can cause you to ruin your motor. In any case, I want to check. I do not think that these are available anymore. I don't think that we're going to be able to get this for them. In which case, unfortunately, this whole unit is going to be kind of, you know, shot, and that's based simply off of a part that would probably cost, you know, 50 cents. You know, I mean, like in terms of manufacture costs. So, yeah, it's a bummer. So we're going to check though, check the model number and see whether or not this is something that we can save. So give me just a sec, I'll be back. All right, so just as I thought, just as I suspected, the small motor retainer for these is no longer available. It's not uncommon on these older Hoovers for the parts not to be available. If they were still owned by Maytag, maybe they would have, but TTI has done away with a lot of the old parts. So, so in any case, this guy cannot be fixed. So in any case, kind of a bummer because, you know, I looked up the price. The price would be like $295 for a, you know, when I said 50 cents, that's probably what it costs them to manufacture, but the price is like $2.95 or $2.50, something like that. And so just such a minuscule little piece is going to send this guy to the graveyard. So we're going to go ahead and button this guy back up for them. Now, given the condition of the machine, I don't think that this is, I mean, we could have gotten this cleaned up and working-ish. Are there better machines on the market now? For sure, absolutely. What I do want to talk about, though, real quick, is the state of this machine. This was built off of a platform, the Elite platform, that was designed prior to the widespread popularity of what we call an air bypass system. That's really most machines that are on the market now. So, you know, your Dysons, your, you know, most of your Ricars, Miele, Sebo, you know, you name it, Shark, they all use a bypass system, meaning the air goes through the filtration system before the air enters the motor, and then all the air is filtered before it exits. This is what we call a direct air system, meaning all the dirt is taken up into the motor and then shot up into the bag, meaning that your bag is your only layer of filtration. They had these kind of goofy filters right here, but in effect they didn't do anything because there's no seal around the bag door. It actually exhausts more out the sides. You know, so this was really just kind of a last gasp effort to advertise that it had filtration, but it didn't. You can see all of this dirt. You can see how much dirt ended up on the motor housing, on the front fascia, you know, in this bag chamber. It's just absolutely filthy. All of that dust was just heading back out into their room. I harp on this a lot. In the last, you know, 25 years of vacuums, there's been huge leaps in terms of particularly of filtration technology. I don't think that this is acceptable for the average homeowner. For somebody who knows how to maintain it, or a vacuum collector, it can be a fun little vac. I wouldn't recommend anybody running something like this, particularly if they have allergies. And, you know, and here's the thing, even if you don't have allergies, you should be concerned about the quality of the air in your home. And you, with this, you just basically got a dust redistribution machine. It's going to pick up the big stuff, and then everything else, the really small stuff that you don't want to be breathing, it's going to head back out into the room. And that's just really bad for the health of your air and your lungs. Look at me talking about the health of my lungs when I work on these constantly. The other things that these fell short on in terms of capabilities, tools were terrible. The tools all came through this little port right here, has a little clean out. This doesn't have the tools anymore. They were kind of like a separate attachment that you plugged in right here. But this motor is really bad when it comes to suction, so tools are just super anemic, really hardly worth using, you know, compared to modern machines. Now, what this vacuum was good at was carpet cleaning. This thing did a really good job. It's only like a 7.8 amp motor on this, and it does a really pretty decent job doing carpet cleaning. It's just that it doesn't do a good job at whole house cleaning, right? So so that's the issue. Direct air motors, very good at carpet cleaning, horrible at tools, bad at filtration. So, you know, it's a trade-off. But in any case, kind kind of a blast from the past. So this was a quick one today. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Did you guys ever own a Hoover Elite or something similar? You know, like the old Eureka Bravos and Bravo 2s? Yeah. And World Vac, yeah, there are a bunch of them like that. But anyways, shout out down below, and of course, I will see you in the next video. Bye.